And welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. On April 24th of last year, and you may have missed this, the state of California finally achieved what the green movement has dreamt about for decades. It happened. The State Energy Authority in California was able to generate 95% of its total power from entirely renewable sources. They said it couldn't be done. We said it couldn't be done. But just months into the Joe Biden administration, California did it. Quote, "It sends chills down my spine," announced Elliot Mainzer, who runs California's biggest power grid. "It's amazing. We're making a real dent in the state's carbon emissions." April 24th, 2021, ladies and gentlemen, remember that date. It's a moment that will live alongside Thomas Edison's invention of the incandescent light bulb, alongside Neil Armstrong's stroll on the surface of the moon. It is a day we saw a glimpse of humanity's future. That's what the news accounts told us. But actually, there were some caveats to this achievement. For starters, April is not the time to test a power grid. It's the most temperate month of the year, when electricity use is at its lowest. Nor was the grid in question statewide. It didn't, for example, supply power to Los Angeles, which is by far the biggest city in California. And now that we're being honest, it wasn't entirely renewable. As the LA Times conceded in a far lower paragraph, despite its press release about renewables, the state of California was actually, quote, also burning a bunch of natural gas. Now, according to scientists, natural gas qualifies as a fossil fuel and is not technically renewable. And then there was this amazing but thoroughly downplayed fact. The green energy miracle that sent chills down the spines of California power executives, the event they described as, quote, amazing, lasted for a total of, can you guess? 4 seconds. Not days or hours, seconds. 4 seconds. That's what California politicians were bragging about. 4 seconds of not actually renewable energy. But the celebration obscured an inconvenient fact. Just a few months earlier, in mid-August, California's green energy grid had collapsed completely. 500,000 residents lost power in the middle of a heat wave. Grid operators warned it was about to get a lot worse. From late afternoon until evening, they predicted. At the times people returned to their homes and were hoping to use electricity, as some Americans do, the state would be short thousands of megawatts, and that meant that millions of Californians would be without any power whatsoever. And that would be a catastrophe, an undeniable one. So to fight it, the state implemented a strategy the developing world has come to know well: rolling blackouts. It's almost 3 p.m., the mayor of Los Angeles tweeted on September 6, 2020. Time to turn off major appliances, set the thermostat to 78 degrees, or use a fan instead. Turn off excess lights and unplug any appliances you're not using. We need every Californian to help conserve energy, except, of course, for the mayor of Los Angeles, who gets to be on Twitter whenever he wants. But really, the message was clear. We give up. We're no longer pretending to provide a first world standard of living to our citizens, the most heavily taxed in America. We are Tegucigalpa now. Please play along. And for the most part, patient Californians did play along, but the problem did not improve. In fact, it got worse. The California Energy Commission has just issued a report predicting widespread power outages in the state of California for the next 5 years at least. And of course, September will always be the worst month. As the vice chair of the commission put it, quote, securing energy reliability is a tremendous responsibility. The responsibility is becoming increasingly difficult to fulfill with the tools we have in hand. Oh, stop whining. Keep the power on. But no, we don't have enough tools. What happened to all the tools? Well, those tools would include the famous nuclear plant at San Onofre. But that plant was shuttered a decade ago after 40 years of protests by green activists, supposedly on behalf of something called the environment, something with which they are personally unfamiliar. But it didn't matter. The state shut it down. What happened next? What was the effect of shutting down San Onofre? Well, scientists estimate that closing San Onofre led to the release of 37 million metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Now, if you believe that carbon dioxide is a pollutant, and they all do, that would qualify as a very bad thing. But it didn't stop California from plowing forward anyway and doing more of the same, polluting in the name of saving the environment. Now the state has announced a plan to close the San Luis Obispo Diablo Canyon nuclear plant. That plant supplies energy to millions of other Californians. So as a result of these and many other closures of actual power plants, The state of California now imports a third of its energy from elsewhere. And that would seem to be an embarrassing display from what is supposedly our richest state. So say what you will about California politicians, like them or not, it's indisputable that on the question of energy, they have no idea what they're doing. And we know this because their track record of incompetence is lengthy and unbroken. They are majestic in their ineptitude. So naturally, they want more power over power. There's just so much more to destroy. This week, the state's surgically enhanced governor, Gavin Newsom, announced a new way to overburden California's already collapsed